Good morning guys, welcome back to Barham Engines. Now remember guys, really important to us, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, like and comment down below. Cheers guys. The thumbnail and title of this video, that BMW block over there, that is a 2.5 and we have the cylinder head and crank. Now you won't believe this story. Fortunately, this is not a build that we've been involved with. This is a customer of ours, Dave at Astra Motorworks. So this is the cylinder head. These are the con rods and pistons. Now Dave got in touch with us the other day saying that he's had a car in, it's a customer's car. The customer went and bought a built engine that's all forged with decent rods, all the business, a 2.5 engine, and he was going to turbocharge it. So he's bought the engine, that's exactly what he's done. All freshly built, mind, and he's bought it from a company, I think. Got the engine in, all running, all the rest of it. I think Dave got it all up and running. I think they were going to run sort of 20 PSI through it. This is in an E30 325. Dave thought, first things first, change the oil and filter. Took the sump plug out, and about 2 litres of neat antifreeze come out of the sump plug, which is not good news. So he gets in touch with the customer and says, something's going on with your head gasket here, we need to take the head off. So he takes the head off. I'll show you the video here that Dave sent me. So as you can see, what's happened is they've took a 2 litre 6-cylinder block and they bored it out 4 millimeters to a 2.5. It's also got a 2 litre head on it, which has been well and truly skimmed, and a homemade head gasket with the centres cut out and it's their own rings in there. It's, as I say, been skimmed to death. So Dave's had to give the customer the bad news. The trouble is, the customer's, it's been sort of 2.5 years down the line. By the time he's got it in and all this, he didn't really know what he was looking at. He was just sort of went by the advert and the reputation of this company. By showing you the video there, you can see Dave's obviously the block scrap, so he's hacked a section out of the bores just to see how thick the bore actually was. And in places, it's down to 1 millimetre thick. So Dave seems to think what's happened, where it's a millimetre, it's actually cracked down. And it's, as he said, you could literally press it. You could press the liner in, and where it's cracked, water's coming out of the crack when you press it. You know, it's that flexible. Bear in mind, this car's been running for a few hundred miles, and it's actually had about 5 PSI boost through it. So how it didn't crap itself, I will never know. So Dave's had a head in stock. Now we skimmed this head about, obviously we've got to wash it and that. We skimmed this about 10 years ago. So he wants us to just pressure test that, check the valves, make sure it's all good to go. The pistons and rods, fortunately, it's got forged pistons in it. They do look like a Wiseco piston, although they look like a copy, to be honest, but I've measured them all and they all seem good. It's got max speed in rods, which, to be honest with you, for a budget rod, we've looked at the spec of all these and they're pretty good. We've actually supplied some for a couple of cars, you know, older cars. One was a TR4 that the guy races. He's had no problems whatsoever. You know, we've had 2 or 3 sets. We've checked the sizes, the houses, and it all measures absolutely cock on. So for the money, they're a decent rod. So he's got the ARP 2000 con rod bolts in there. So we're going to check this head out. The block over there, just going to face, and the bores, we've bored it out 0.5 mil to go with those pistons. So hopefully here we can make a decent block. As I say, Dave had that in stock and that head for years. So unfortunately, the problem is it was a cheap engine really. If it's all meant to have been built, I said really alarm bells should have rang when you bought it. But yeah, there we go guys, shocking really. I say that was never going to be any good even for an NA, let alone a turbo. So down to 1 millimetre thick. So if you've got a 2 litre BMW straight 6, don't bore it out to a 2.5 because it ain't going to work. So I've already given the BMW a 3 valve cut, and you can see where it's cleaned around the bolt holes, a little bit like the Cosworths do really. Clean around the bolt holes, then sort of nothing here, and then it's cleaned at this one this sort of very end over here. So just give it another 3 valve cut and hopefully that should clean them. But if we end up having to take too much off it, I'm going to have to give Dave a ring and see if he wants to take the same off the piston crowns really. So as you can see, we've got the Astra VXR in bits here. Isaac's kindly stripped this for us today. Now this engine code is the A20 NFT. As you can see, it's got a bit of a crazy piston crown design. Now, I had a look this morning and this guy got in touch with me originally about 18 months ago, and I priced him up a set of pistons which worked out to him at about 450, but I'm just waiting for a price back off our supplier, but it looks like the forged pistons for these have gone up drastically, so these could end up about 700 quid to him now. I don't know whether it's something to do with the import or what, but before we go any further, basically all this engine's in for really is a rebore. Got to deck the block and go through the cylinder head and just check the cranks all right and polish it. But it's had all the lands have broke out on the pistons, so yeah, it's had a bit of a nightmare, and obviously it was using and burning a lot of oil. So we're hopefully just going to take this out to 0.5 oversize. As I say, just waiting on the price, and I might have to, depending on it, I might have to give the customer a ring and say, look, I know it was 18 months ago, but obviously prices have gone up since, and on this particular engine they've gone up massively. So that's why really I only ever send an estimate, even on bits, because you never know when they're going to get back to you or finally drag the engine out of the car. Exactly what's happened here really. It's been 18 months now before he's even got to it, and yeah, everything seems to have gone up. So see what happens with that one. So that 6 that we took off, as you can see, there's a couple of little areas like this which are very, very slightly iffy. So one being down on the other end there. So I'm just going to give it another 2 thou. That'll be 8 thou took off then. So I better give Dave a bell, see what he wants to do about the pistons really. Right guys. So we've been a little bit quiet lately on the Jag XKR. I bet you've been wondering what's happened to that. So it's almost finished. Stuart's just given us a shout, wants us to pop over while he gives it its first start up. He's primed the engine over, no oil lights on or anything like that. So fingers crossed everything's good. We're going to head over there now and get the thing fired up for the first time. So here she is. This is the first start up. Stu's a little bit worried because there's no oil pressure gauge on it, but we have turned it over and it sort of turns over all right. So we've plugged the coil packs in, and there you go. Sounds sweet, doesn't it? There we go, it's all fairly crammed in there. No tapping or nasty knocks. Well done. So you all know where to come now if you want your V8 Jag engine built.
Yeah, somewhere else.
So as you can see guys, the Jag is running lovely. Stu's just going to finish off putting a few pipes on and all the rest of it, do a few checks, and then we're going to take it round for a valet, and hopefully that is all good and the customer can have that back today. Oh hello.
Oh hello.
Looking a bit grubby.
Well, I've been working.
Well done mate.
So once it's been cleaned, I need to give it a check over the fluids, etc, etc, etc.
Nice to see it back out.
Wheel nuts and whatnot, but it lives.
Well done.
Nice.
So we're in the Jag guys, and everything seems to be all right. We're just going to whip it round, give it a valet. The jobs are good, and hopefully. Probably wondering why it's took so long, but Stuart's friend mechanic Pete has got a bad back and he's been off. Stuart's not been very well, and been waiting for parts on a lot of it. So yeah, it's all done now. Customer's happy, and so will his wife be, so she can have her car back. Right guys, fantastic news on the Transit. John Burnell emailed me this morning saying that we may be looking at about 4 o'clock this afternoon for pickup. So fingers crossed. So the reason it's been so long is there was a little chip on the driver's door, right next to the door handle on the edge, minute really, but John just wanted to get that sorted. So that's been sorted. We've had the tow bar from MSRT, and although it's the right tow bar, the electrics weren't right, so they had to reorder the electrics. I don't know, but anyway, he's been doing his best, bless him. He's been keeping me up to date. So yeah, hopefully guys, we're all ready for this afternoon. Just been to Halfords and bought me 2 kids car seats to go in the back because it's a double cab, and yeah, hopefully guys, we'll keep you informed on that. You never know, next video could be the big Transit review. So just been doing some block boring today. This is the BMW, it's all finished home now. We'll let that cool. That's all ready to be cleaned. Once we've done that, I think John sorted the crank. All we've got to do is pressure test the cylinder head in the morning on our rig, and then that job's all complete. We have another 6-cylinder block on the boring bar there, and that is not another BMW. This, guys, I believe it's a Studebaker Commander, something like that. It's a 3 5/16 bore. Yeah, quite rare. Don't know whether you'll see another one. John's done the crank on that. We've just got to bore it out first, oversize, hone it, face the block, and all done. But yeah, quite a rare one, that. So the Jag's all been valeted inside and out. I've rang the customer. He's happy as hell. He's coming to pick it up first thing in the morning. All good. That's another one out of the way. Well, thanks ever so much, guys, for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, comment down below, and we'll see you in another one. Cheers, guys.